Hello, Bond fans! I've always wanted to do that. Okay, guys, welcome to the James Bond Show. No fears, no limits, no substitutes. Okay, so today we are doing On Her Majesty's Secret Service review, and this review is brought to you by Daniel Craig's really small bank account because he can't afford an Aston Martin DB5. But shh, don't tell anyone he's broke. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Okay, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So, had a budget of $9 million, shot in 1969, 50 years ago this year, and it grossed around $90 million at the box office. So guess what? Do the maths. It wasn't a flop. That's a lie. It was a nice little hit and did very well, especially smashing some UK box office records when it came out in 69. Okay, guys, so what's the story? So James Bond is chasing Blofeld still, and we see a new Bond, which I'll touch on a bit later, in the pre-title sequence, and he's in Portugal and he's driving along in his car and he sees this beautiful woman going into the ocean. He stops, he checks her out, he thinks she's going to kill herself. He's probably right there. He drives his DBS, nice Aston Martin as well, that one, down onto the beach. Long story short, rescues her, gets her out of the ocean, puts her down and says, "Good morning, my name's Bond, James Bond." Yes, there's very much of a Aussie accent there. Okay, I don't know why I did a Scottish one, but hey, let's rock with it. Okay, so he beats up some thugs who basically point a gun at him. The girl drives off with the car. This never happened to the other fella. And he says that line. Now, some people complain about that line, thinking it breaks the fourth wall. Okay, we know it does, but Prince Charming? Anyone? No? He's holding the slipper. This never happened to the other fella? Boop, boop. There you go. Come on. Let's just go with that. So James Bond hooks up with Tracy. She is the daughter of Viscount Draco, played by the wonderful Gabrielle Fazzetti. Bit of a tippy here for you guys. Did you know that Gabrielle Fazzetti was the oldest looking 44-year-old ever to be in cinema? He was 44 playing that part. And then we've got George Lazenby, who's the oldest 28-29-year-old looking dude in the history of cinema as well. So guys playing a bit older than what they, were. Okay, so Bond basically falls in love with Tracy. She definitely falls in love with him. Through Viscount Draco, he gets a tip-off that Blofeld has been having dealings with a Gebruder Gumboldt, and so he sneaks into Gebruder Gumboldt's office. He ends up going to Switzerland, pretending to be Sir Hilary Bray of the College of Arms, and he's undercover as Sir Hilary Bray, basically trying to get Blofeld away from his beautiful Swiss headquarters, and then, of course, arrest him, capture him. That's the story of the film. Now, within the film, Bond falls in love with Tracy, and wow, what a film. Now, for the people that know this film very well, you know what happens at the end of the film. For people that are watching this review and don't want a spoiler, I am going to say, block your ears now, because obviously I've got to address a huge spoiler at the end of the film. So that's the story of the film. Now, it was directed by Peter Hunt, who was the editor on the previous 5 Bond films. Peter Hunt really, I think, paved the way with jump cuts, incredible jump cut editing, fast editing. And so when John Glenn came along and he edited On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he certainly brought a lot of those traits in editing that Peter Hunt brought to the film as well. Now, John Glenn also got to film second unit photography on the film too. So, of course, that was a training ground for him to eventually become the director in 1981 with his first film, For Your Eyes Only. Okay, so this is where I'm going to get into spoiler alerts. This is the most dramatic of all the Bond films. It certainly has my personal favourite scene and what I think is the most memorable scene ever put to a James Bond film. Now, block those ears, people that haven't seen the film. The death of Tracy. So when she dies at the end, George Lazenby's performance here is absolutely mesmerising. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. George Lazenby as James Bond. For the people that bag George Lazenby, I'm going to change your minds here. I think I'm going to change your minds here. Most of you have no idea about acting. Now, a lot of people that say George Lazenby isn't an actor, you're wrong. In this film, he is an actor. He is acting as a different character. Now, where a lot of people say, oh, he can't act, he's not a good actor, blah, blah, blah. Okay, no. Get off all the coke, right? Get off the crack, people, and look at this. Walk in to your bathroom now, look in the mirror, and say the lines that George Lazenby said to M in his office. Then say the lines when he was speaking to Gabriel Fazzetti in that scene where Gabriel Fazzetti is trying to woo him into, marrying Tracy. Say those lines in your bathroom mirror without looking like a complete jackass. Because George Lazenby pulled those scenes off. What people don't understand and realise is George Lazenby had a very thick Queanbeyan, New South Wales accent, okay? It's a very thick ochre country accent. So where people go, oh, he can't act. No, what you've got to realise is Lazenby was also acting with a completely different voice. He was putting toothpicks in his mouth and speaking in preparation to get the English accent right. A voice coach had him doing that. So he was doing things that were so completely foreign to him. Now have a look also in the more quiet scenes, because Lazenby struggled just a little bit. Now this is where a lack of training came in. It's not that he struggled, but he had a lack of training in voice projection. So to prove my point, if you have a look at the scenes when he's basically in close-up and he's in the barn and he's saying to Tracy, but I love you and I want to marry you, and how he talks about how he needs change in his life, Lazenby doesn't have to force project his voice. He can focus on looking at Tracy, looking away from Tracy and his thoughts. Because he doesn't have to worry so much about forced projection, his performance in that scene is so natural. Now, again, when the camera's in close-up on him, and he's, again, spoilers for people who've unplugged their ears, when he's basically cradling her dead body, her head, and the policeman comes up to the window. So now that policeman's face basically becomes a camera and we're in close-up on Lazenby, okay, on a side profile, and then he looks almost straight to on the side of the camera. He doesn't have to voice project. And he's like, it's quite all right, really. We'll be going on soon. He can just focus on what's happening right there. And that's why people go, oh, he's acting, oh, he wasn't a great actor, but his acting in those scenes is good. No. His acting is fantastic. It's just change up the voice. Don't worry too much about his voice. Look at his eyes. To get when an actor is on cue, and I'm a former director and a filmmaker, and one thing I love was working with non-trained actors, and I would pick non-trained actors out to work with because I loved the reality, the realness of them, and trying to get a performance out of them. Now, Sean Connery, people go, oh, it would have been a better film if Connery did it. No, it wouldn't have been. Connery had a 6-picture deal. He bailed on You Only Live Twice. His performance in You Only Live Twice was nothing short of disgusting. His attitude was disgusting. Now, if he was forced to come back for Honor Majesty's Secret Service for a contractual obligation, he would have shit on that film. Excuse the French, guys, but he would have imploded that film. Also, would Tracy have been cast by the beautiful and incredibly talented Diana Rigg? I don't think so. Now, if you have a look at the chemistry of Diana Rigg and George Lazenby, they make that film work. And the reason On Her Majesty's Secret Service needed a younger actor, it needed a younger actor because at the end of the film when he loses everything, not to mention a young actor, but a cocky actor. So Bond's quite cocky in the film and he's all sure. You would not have got that with Sean Connery. He would have gone through the film tired. So when Tracy dies, Bond loses everything, his entire world. You can only appreciate that when you've got this kind of cocky guy, this younger guy who's got the world ahead of him, suddenly his world's taken away. And that is why Lazenby rocks in this film. John Barry's score is simply stunning. It is amazing, especially Louis B. Armstrong's song in this as well. We Have All the Time in the World, so memorable. I do love especially John Barry's pieces when he takes those tunes of We Have All the Time in the World and does an instrumental, and especially the helicopter scenes over the Swiss Alps and that. Absolutely mind-blowing. Bernard Lee is there. This is my favourite role of his in this film, you know, my favourite performance of his. Moneypenny's fantastic, but this is almost where she becomes like the mum, and the flirting's a little bit awkward because she does look quite a bit older than George Lazenby. It is a wonderful film. It's the second longest running film in the franchise, but this is a beauty. It is one of my all-time favourites. It's probably my best Bond film. With my favourites, it's in there. The only real issue I have with On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the rear projection, and it looks like they've shot some scenes day for night, so when it's daytime they've tried to make it look nighttime, and the cutting. It's dark, it's light, it's dark, it's light, specifically in the ski scenes, and it takes me out of the film. But you can kind of forgive that for how stunning and beautiful this film is. One more thing that I did not like about the film is that very sad moment at the film. The camera then cuts, sorry, that's just my doggy giving his expertise on the film. The camera comes out and then the Bond film blares at the end of the film. That was a massive mistake, and that was basically the producers going, oh no, he's still James Bond, and you can't walk out totally sad and gutted. They should have left that out. And if you look up on YouTube, there's another cut of the film that someone's done, and that's been taken, the Bond theme's out and the sad music's in, and it's so great. Guys, please like this. There's so many reviews now coming of this channel, and if you're watching this, please, it actually means a lot to me. If you just hit like, it takes you 2 seconds, and then I know if you've genuinely liked the video, and that pushes me to make more videos. So please just hit like. Also, guys, can you please tell your friends about the James Bond show, because it's something different and we can discuss Bond like, you know, like we're here together and have fun. And I'd love to read your comments too. Until next time, guys, keep on bonding.